Hello and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're already part of the Sprinkle Squad. I'm so happy to see you again, and today we are working on another build for one of the more recent kits. So this is actually based around the Restoration Workshop kit, which I'll probably keep forgetting the name of, so it's probably just going to become the Workshop kit because it's just such a long name that I just keep forgetting what it's actually called. But I wanted this to be a tiny home. I'm thinking maybe the bottom floor is the Sims workshop. Like, this is where they, work on things. This is their livelihood. And then they actually live upstairs, which I think it turned out really nicely. And I tried to kind of make it look like a garage on the bottom floor. Like, I like the idea that maybe they pull cars in and work on them, that kind of thing as well, even though that's not really something we can do in the game. I will also say, so I just swapped out the door here, and I end up swapping it back in the end because it just, I don't know, there was something about it I felt like didn't match quite right when I was doing it, so it kind of gets swapped around again. But I did end up using the Horse Ranch windows here because I thought they fit really well. And so I actually struggled a lot with the second floor of this build, trying to squeeze in a whole living space up there, but I think it worked out. I mean, it's been play tested and all that kind of good stuff, so your Sims shouldn't have any issues doing what they need to do in this build. So on that note, this is already up on the Sims 4 gallery under my ID, Spice and Sprinkles, all one word, all lowercase, and down in the description if you want to see it written out. And I will say, again, I know I've been saying this like in every build recently, but apologies for my voice sounding a little bit not great at the moment. Just having a lot of allergy problems, and since I'm kind of doing a little pre-recording, since I've got a lot going on this week and I do really want to get 2 builds out, I just kind of don't sound great in either of the videos being posted this week. So hopefully it doesn't bother you too much, or if this is the first time you are actually watching my videos. I typically don't sound like this. Usually I don't sound like I'm having issues speaking, but I'm doing the best I can. You do what you can, and that's all you can do. So here I kind of work on the outside for a while, and then I swap inside, and then I finish outside of the build. And I will say I really wanted to keep it under that. I think I used the 64 tile count, which definitely posed some issues. I know that I paused my recording several times while I was trying to build this because I was just having so many issues upstairs. Honestly, I probably should have decorated the upstairs first, but I was too excited to use the new kit, so I ended up doing it first. And I think it would have made my life a whole lot easier if I had gone ahead and done the living space first. So I tried to use like every item we got with this kit, which I think I did. Hopefully. That was my, oh, that's a lie because I didn't use that water heater. Okay, I used almost everything from this kit because I really wanted to showcase all of the items. Like I said, I figured this was, this is their livelihood. This is where they worked. And I actually end up, so that bench over there in the corner, I actually end up putting a computer on that. So a computer doesn't actually clip to that desk or like a decorative workbench there. But what you can do is actually take a kitchen counter, which, your Sim can sit at, and specifically the bar counters. So your Sim can sit at that and work on a computer. So what you end up doing is basically taking that bar counter, putting the computer and a chair on it, and then what you do is size down the bar counter and then just slide it in to wherever you want. And what happens is the bar counter is very small and it can be easily hidden, whether in the item you're using, or you can just use some clutter to cover it up. And so then your Sim looks like they're sitting at that table working on the computer, even though they're technically sitting at that bar piece, which you'll see me kind of do here in a little bit. But I thought that'd be really cute. And again, I really wanted to make sure that there was a computer somewhere on this lot, and I figured if this was their livelihood, this was their business, then they would probably have a space for them to actually work on the computer and do stuff, because I feel like most businesses these days require the computer in some way, shape, or form. You probably need one, so I figured it would make sense. And really trying to squeeze everything in here was definitely a challenge because we got so many items, and a lot of the items are larger in size. So I actually ended up trying to use this piece here. I forgot entirely what pack that was from, but it's this wall decoration piece. I'd originally thought maybe I would use it as like a sign for their business, if that makes sense. And of course, if you want to, I just uploaded this as a residential lot. If you want to upload it as a business, or like change it to a business, feel free to do so. You know, you can do whatever you want with the build if you download it. And, you know, if you want to actually zone this to be a business and maybe sell, if you do like woodworking or something, you can sell those items. You know what I mean? So that's totally up to you, but I just left it plainly as a tiny home. And then of course, if you want to add a selling table or something like that, you can do that as well. But I actually end up using so all of these appliances we got are functional. I mean, once they're fixed, I think they have to be fixed to be functional, but upstairs in the living space, I actually ended up taking all of the items, going into the live edit debug menu for this kit. You can get the restored version of these appliances in different colors. So I actually ended up using them upstairs because I thought it was a cute idea, maybe that they restored their own appliances and that's what they have upstairs, which don't ask me how they got them up there considering there's just a ladder. I don't know how you get a whole fridge up there, but I'm just, you know, it's The Sims and we're just going to go with it and say that it works out and your sim is magic, I guess, which I guess we do have magic in the game. So maybe that's how they did it. That's what I'm going to go with. And of course I wanted to put a bunch of signs kind of all over the place, like warning signs, that kind of thing, because I thought that ended up looking really cute. And I actually built this sometime last week and then didn't have time to actually do the voiceover. I was hoping to get it out on Friday, but I ended up not. I actually took my mom out for Mother's Day on Friday, so I actually didn't get a chance to finish the voiceover, so you're getting it this week instead. And I don't know what day I'm going to post this on. Maybe Thursday, maybe Friday. We'll see kind of what happens. But for this, I really wanted to add in this giant window from the Desert Luxe kit, which I think added some nice architecture to the building, if that makes sense. It makes it look a little less boxy without having to use more space. And of course, putting in the kitchen, I feel like I had to have a pretty big kitchen because I ended up wanting to use the microwave and the coffee maker, but I ended up adding that snowy escape counter in the corner, kind of like it was just I was thinking maybe just like a shelf. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't necessarily one of the counters. It was a piece that the sim put there. And that's kind of where they kept their coffee maker. But of course you need an actual counter for the coffee maker to function. Unless, again, you do one of those tricks with the sizing down of the counter and everything. But I thought that turned out really well. And I definitely end up moving some things around in here. I think I ended up using the same pieces. But yeah, I did all of this and then I was like, where am I going to put the bed? I don't know what I was thinking. Like, as you can see, there is not enough space for a bed here since a bed is, even the small ones are 3 tiles. I tried scooting it into the wall, all kinds of stuff to, you know, make it work. And it really wasn't working. It just really was giving me a hard time. And so I actually end up having to swap things around a little bit. I think I end up moving the ladder. I'm honestly trying to remember because like I said, I built it last week and I also did so many different variations of this build to try to fit everything in. I was like, maybe I do a 2-tile bathroom. I could move the bathroom. I could make the tiles a little bit bigger upstairs and then make them smaller downstairs, but then like things looked kind of weird when I did that. So I definitely went through a lot of versions of this. So if you're wondering, like, I think I cut out a lot of it, but it just, I don't know. It definitely took me a minute to figure out here what I wanted to do, trying to just kind of squeeze everything in properly. Originally, I thought maybe I would put the bed over in the corner and then have like a built-in bookcase at the end kind of thing, but it just felt so cramped for the space. So I ended up just kind of shifting things around just a little bit, and I think I ended up having to move a few things downstairs as well because I realized since I moved the ladder and then I had to move things so it would work downstairs. And then what I ended up doing, I wanted something interesting on this wall. So I just took this decorative wall piece and flipped it around and ended up just raising it up on the wall and then combining it with some shelving so that it kind of looks like an interesting bookshelf. Maybe they made it themselves kind of thing. If they do the woodworking on the woodworking table downstairs, I kind of liked that idea. And I will say I saw the idea of at least flipping that piece around and raising it up. I forgot now. It is somebody I follow on Instagram. I did see them do that, but again, just kind of adding in the shelves here. I just thought would be super cute. But of course, finding stuff, like I wanted to maybe put a picture on one of the shelves, but if they clip to the wall, they get covered up by the circle piece. Anyways, I think it turned out really well, and I think it's super adorable. Of course, there's really only room for one sim unless you want to take out some of the pieces. Of course, you can get a smaller TV, that kind of thing, and use a double bed if you would like to, but I don't know. I figured maybe this was just a single sim living here, and then of course just adding in some more clutter because I mean, come on, I couldn't help myself. I needed to add a lot of stuff. And actually, I built this before I built the cluttered apartment from the other day. And so I actually decided I was not going to use the cluttered kitchen kit stuff in this build, which definitely was difficult for me because I kept coming across all of those really cute items we got, and I was like, oh, what is this? Oh wait, I'm not going to use it in this build because I just kind of wanted to focus on the kits separately at least once before I start using them both at the same time. But I just loved those items so much, and honestly this is really cute too, just kind of having a really nice hobby space or business space for your sim. And then of course using that really cool looking kind of distressed leather couch we got with businesses and hobbies, I think turned out really well. And then I did use a few of the items that we got with this sleek bathroom kit. I just couldn't help it, and this does all function. I did play test it, just kind of scooting the toilet into the wall, making sure your sim had enough room to get around. So you definitely shouldn't have any issues. And also, I didn't realize it when I was building it, but that hanging lamp I have there is clipping into the glass shower wall thing. So I can't remember if I fixed it when I uploaded it. I think I did. So fingers crossed when you download it, if you want to download it, that is, that it's actually, you know, it doesn't look weird. So apologies if I did upload it and it still kind of looked funny. But as you can see, I did also go ahead and swap out this door because I think it just looked a little bit better and kind of fit the aesthetic I was going for. And I wanted to use a couple business signs. I tried really hard to use that wall piece there because I thought it would look kind of cute. But what I actually end up doing is adding in the sign from businesses and hobbies there. You can see I added it to the side of the building. But then I also ended up going into debug and finding a broken down car, putting it in the front yard and using it almost as like a planter and kind of turning it into its sign. I don't know if you've ever seen those like car places or workshops where they use like old parts and things to make their entrance sign. I don't know. Hopefully I don't sound crazy and you know what I'm talking about. That's kind of what I was channeling here when I was making that. I do that at the very end, so I wanted to go ahead and warn you that I definitely do something a little bit interesting, like maybe even borderline just odd. And I don't know, I was going to do a regular trash can, but it felt like a dumpster fit this lot just a little bit better. Like it just made a little more sense for the workshop to have a dumpster, if that makes sense. And just adding in some landscaping. I do put a seating area out here as well. Again, since this is a tiny home, if they want to do it entertaining, it's probably easier if they have some outdoor space. And then just using some of the like grass pieces there around, which I think just adds a lot of texture without necessarily having to add a bunch of landscaping, if that makes sense. I believe I also end up putting a fountain as well. And I say I believe because I really did go back and forth a lot when I was doing this build. Like I said, I tried to not include every time I do and swap stuff around just because, well, the build would take forever, but also it'd be very like confusing to keep changing everything. But I ended up using the little campers kit. I believe that's where that table is from, which I thought maybe if they did woodworking, they made that table kind of thing. And I thought it would be really cute to have that, and then just adding some rocks around. And I really thought I was going to keep the landscaping more minimalistic, but you know, I ended up putting it everywhere. So I mean, that's, if you have watched my videos, you know that's something I tend to do. So I think it turned out really well, just adding a bunch of stuff in here. And then I thought maybe adding a little fencing would help define that space, because it just felt, I don't know, like it just blended in the whole area and it needed a little bit of separation. Of course, I had it in the car because I just thought maybe the sim has a truck. That's how they get stuff like to the workshop, that kind of thing. Of course, this is all just theoretical and wishful thinking on my part, but I don't know. I think it adds some extra touches to the build when you do something like that. So at this point, this is when I actually find that car piece and I end up, I want to say I combine it with an eco lifestyle. Maybe it's an eco lifestyle grass piece. I can't remember if it's maybe that or base game. It's just something out of debug though, and just kind of adding in just a bunch of plants here. Again, I figured it was intentional. Like they planted these plants and wanted to make it their shop piece, if that makes sense. I know I feel like it's not something I would typically do, but I just thought it was a cute little touch for this workshop, even though they don't technically work on cars. I wish they could, and I also wish we got a garage door with this pack. I feel like this would be a perfect opportunity to give us some garage items, even though we don't have cars, because I would love that. Like, give me a kit for a garage. That would be amazing. But if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and I hope you have a really sweet day. Bye, everybody.